Okay, good morning, everyone. I've titled the talk for today as How to Jumpstart Your Practice Using Diligence. So my last talk was on stream entry, the first level of awakening or level of enlightenment. And we talked about 4 proximate preconditions that will help us to realize stream entry. And that was associating with good people, listening to the true Dhamma, wise attention, and then practicing in accordance with the Dhamma. So you can't just sort of read about it or hear about it. You actually have to make an effort. And so what I want to do today is talk about this quality that is so important and so needed for this 4th condition of practicing in accordance with the Dhamma. And I'm going to start with the last words that the Buddha uttered just before he passed away. And he said, "Come now, meditators, I say to you all, conditioned things fall apart. Persist with diligence." So everything we experience in the world is conditioned. It's due to causes. And when those causes change, then the experience changes. So that's happening. That's all, this is happening all the time. Our homes break down when they need repairs, our cars break down, our bodies break down as we age. The weather changes. So just on and on and on with everything. It's due to causes, and therefore when those causes change, then it's impermanent. What was is impermanent. And this falling apart of everything can cause us a lot of suffering. And so that's why we're all here. We want to learn how to not suffer, how to be happy. So that's why we're doing this practice. And to do this, the Buddha is exhorting us to persist with diligence. So now, what is diligence? What does it mean?
That's what I was just thinking.
So diligence is a persistent, careful, sincere, energetic effort. A persistent, careful, sincere, energetic effort. So basically means putting your whole heart into what you're doing. Now, we're in a series right now where we're doing similes. So here's the simile that the Buddha gave for diligence, and it's found in Sanghamitta Nikaya, chapter 45, number 140. "The footprints of all creatures that walk can fit inside an elephant's footprint. So an elephant's footprint is said to be the biggest of them all. In the same way, all skillful qualities are rooted in diligence and meet at diligence, and diligence is said to be the best of them. A meditator who is diligent can expect to develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path." And then there's another quote I want to give from the same book, but chapter 3, number 17. And this was at the town called Savatthi. "Seated to one side, King Pasenadi said to the Buddha, 'Sir, is there one thing that secures benefits for both the present life and lives to come?' 'There is, great king.' 'So, what is that thing?' 'Diligence, great king, is one thing that secures benefits for both the present life and lives to come.'" So the Buddha is really emphasizing to us how important this quality of diligence is. And he's saying to use the diligence to follow the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the path to the end of suffering, the path to happiness. Now, it's interesting in that last sutta, I just gave you one quote from the whole sutta, but as you read the sutta, I almost missed this, but there's a sentence that says, "The astute praise diligence in making merit." So now what's merit? It's not a word that we use a lot. We've probably heard things like, oh, that athlete really did merit that gold medal, like was really worthy of that gold medal. So, but we don't use this term much in our everyday language, but in Buddhism, the term merit is used a lot. If you read the suttas, you're going to come across it a lot. Now, in Buddhism, the term merit is considered a beneficial and protective force which accumulates as a result of good deeds, speech, or thoughts. And merit is capable of attracting good circumstances in our life, as well as improving our mind and inner well-being. It determines the quality of our next life, of our rebirth, and contributes to our growth towards awakening. And it's connected with the notions of purity and goodness. So, what are the practices that develop merit? The first is virtue, living a virtuous, moral life. And the Buddha, and Aya has said this, quoted the Buddha on this many times in the last few talks that she's given. And the Buddha is encouraging us to go inside and determine, like know for ourselves, if what we're doing is a virtuous act, virtuous speech or a virtuous act. If it's something that's not blameworthy, that wouldn't be criticized by the wise, and wouldn't cause any harm or suffering to yourself or others. Because he's saying if you go and ask other people, you're probably going to get a lot of opinions on what's virtuous and what's not. So he said, go into your own heart and know for yourself whether this is something that's harmful or not harmful. And then, of course, we all slip up from time to time. We're not perfect individuals. And so there's an important difference in the teaching of the Buddha than maybe what most people sort of experience in our society. And the Buddha is saying that guilt is not a good emotion. So if you make a slip, you want to learn from your mistake. You want to sort of make a determination not to do it again, but you don't want to beat yourself up. So the Buddha is teaching us that guilt is not a healthy emotion. And it's quite interesting. When I was working, I ran a course on developing self-esteem. And so I had read a lot of research, to go into setting up the course. And one of the research things I came across was how people feeling guilt, it doesn't help them to be better people. People who feel a lot of guilt, it's kind of like they go, what the heck, I've screwed up anyway, I might as well just keep on, Like guilt was actually not leading to better behavior. It was actually leading to worse behavior. So the Buddha is a good psychologist. He figured that out 2,600 years ago. Okay, so the first way to develop merit is living a virtuous or a moral life. The second way to develop merit is meditation. Having your meditation practice. And the Buddha said, especially on the Brahma Viharas, meditating on the Brahma Viharas, which are the beautiful emotions. Metta, which is loving friendliness. Karuna, which is compassion. Mudita, which is being happy for the happiness of others. And upekkha, which is equanimity, this unflappable calm. The third way to develop merit is generosity. And in Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 5, number 256, the Buddha says, "Without abandoning stinginess, one is incapable of experiencing the jhanas or becoming awakened." And he goes on to say, the same chapter, but number 36, "The greatest gift one can give is sharing the Dhamma." Now, in your day-to-day life, your family or friends may not be interested in you sharing the Dhamma with them, but if they are, like, please share the benefits, that you've experienced from your meditation practice. And that's going to bring great merit to you if you're able to do that. But you don't want to be pushing it down anybody's throat who doesn't want to hear it. And so maybe the best you can do is just be a role model, going through life peacefully, kindly, morally. And just that alone is, really, really significant. Now, the Buddha goes on to say, same chapter, but number 148, be careful not to harm yourself with generosity. So if you're giving of your time to help somebody, or you're giving donations, of your finances, make sure you're not overextending yourself, like putting yourself into debt, making a donation, or just exhausting yourself with acts of service to each other. Everything we do is supposed to not cause harm to ourselves or to others. So you don't want to harm yourself with your generosity. So keep that in mind. Yeah, I had a really sad experience this on my recent holiday. I visited lots of friends and family on the trip I was on. And one cousin in Victoria, I ended up having to visit her in the hospital just because she had harmed herself with generosity. Her adult daughter had wanted to go back to school, and so my cousin had taken out something called a line of credit to pay for her schooling. But my cousin, she lives close to the bone, she doesn't have a lot of extra money, but she was managing to pay the interest of this line of credit and a little bit of the capital. But then one month her car broke down. She had to repair her car, and she suffers from macular degeneration, and she had to change her glasses. So she had this car expense and these new glasses that she had to buy. And so she couldn't pay her bills that month. And she got so freaked out, stressed about this. She ended up in hospital. Yeah, so don't do that. Okay, that's the third way of developing merit, generosity. And the fourth way is to realize stream entry, to become awakened, to have that first level of awakening. And the Buddha says that develops the greatest merit, like realizing stream entry, realizing this first level of awakening gives you the greatest merit. So that's great. So in summary, the Buddha is encouraging us to be diligent in developing merit by leading a moral life, meditating, being generous, and putting in those 4 conditions for stream entry. Now, I had started off this talk by talking about how we need to use diligence to develop the Noble Eightfold Path. And then, in that sutta I was reading, it was talking about using diligence to develop merit. So what's the connection between these two? On the one hand, he's saying use diligence to develop the Noble Eightfold Path. And then in another breath, he's saying use diligence to develop merit. Well, if we look at these 4 ways to develop merit, the first is virtue. And virtue is steps 3, 4, and 5 of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech, right action, right livelihood. Meditation, we have to be mindful when we meditate. That's step 7 of the Noble Eightfold Path. And with our meditation practice, we develop that stillness of mind, the jhana states, and that's step 8 of the Noble Eightfold Path. Generosity, that would be included in step 6, which is right effort, the effort to develop skillful qualities. And in Buddhism, the word skillful refers to that which lets go of suffering and develops a happiness, but a happiness that's not causing harm to self or others. There's, I think there's a word, is it hedonism, where people, they try and develop happiness for themselves, but it sort of don't care if they maybe hurt others in the process. So it's not that kind of happiness. It's a harmless kind of happiness. And then the Buddha, he gave us 40 different 40 different meditation objects. And a group of these are called the anusitis, which are contemplations. And one of those contemplations is contemplating your generosity, because that brings up joy, and joy is one of the conditions to help bring you into jhana, the 8th step of the Noble Eightfold Path. And then all of the preconditions for stream entry, like wise attention, that's probably part of right effort. And practicing in accordance with the Dhamma is all the steps of the Noble Eightfold Path. So you can see that using diligence to develop merit is just intricately intertwined with developing the Noble Eightfold Path. So, in summary, we put diligence into practice by leading a moral life, meditating, being generous, and then fulfilling the proximate preconditions for stream entry, which is associating with good people, listening to the true Dhamma, wise attention, and putting the Dhamma into practice. And all of the previous things, like that I said, are all putting the Dhamma into practice. So just by being here, you're doing a lot of those things. You're coming here, you're meditating, you're hearing the Dhamma, you're associating with good people that are also on a spiritual path. So just on your own, you've got to make sure you're using wise attention and then putting the Dhamma into practice. Now I'm going to give you one more. I mean, there's many ways to put the Dhamma into practice, but I'm just going to give you one more skillful means today. And this is the Buddha. He gave this to us. I think it's Majjhima Nikaya number 61. So he said, before you undertake any action, or about to speak something, or even thinking things in your head. So before you do that, pause and consider, will this lead to the suffering of myself or others or both? And if it's going to lead to suffering, don't do it. If you don't think it's going to lead to suffering, well then go ahead. But then he says, while you're doing this action, or while you're speaking, or while you're thinking about something, consider, is this causing harm to myself or to others or to both? And I had a really powerful experience of that, of this one, of while something's happening, considering. It was extremely powerful. So before I learned about meditation, I was a master at stabbing myself with the second arrow. When something bad would happen, like somebody would say or do something that would hurt me, I'd be going around and wailing to everybody I knew about how could this person have said this, or how could they have done this, and all the while just stabbing yourself by rehearsing the hurt. And but after a couple of years of listening to the Dhamma, sort of having it seep into my bones, I remember I was just inside the front door here, because somebody had come to visit, and something, I had felt hurt by somebody, and I'd already told a whole bunch of my friends, like, bah, this person said this, how could they have done this? And now the next victim had walked in the door, and I'm going, bah, how could this person have done this to me? And in the middle of going, bah, wailing away, I felt the suffering, and the suffering was experienced as extreme boredom. I had heard this before many times. I didn't want to hear it again. And it was a very powerful experience. Like, I stopped that behavior. I stopped that habit energy. It was quite powerful. And it was just, and I hadn't planned it, just the Dhamma had seeped in and then fruited at that moment. It was really quite wonderful. So I think I just stopped wailing in mid-sentence and awkwardly changed the topic.
They're probably like, thank you.
So that's the second thing the Buddha's asking us to do. And then the third, he said, after you've done the action, or you've said whatever you're going to say, or you've been thinking about something, then he says, consider, did it cause harm, suffering to self or others, or both? And he said, if it did, like, seek out a wise person and get some support on, working with that issue. And then make a determination, an adhitthana, not to repeat that action or speech or that thought pattern. So the Buddha says that we will purify our bodily, verbal, and mental actions through this repeated reflection. So that's one more way to put the Dhamma into practice. So in summary, the Buddha is exhorting us to be diligent, which is persistent, careful, sincere, and energetic in being moral, in meditating, in being generous, and in putting in the conditions for stream entry, which are associating with good people, listening to the Dhamma, the true Dhamma, using wise attention, and practicing according to the Dhamma. And a practical way to do that last part is to consider before, during, and after our action, speech, or thoughts, will this, or is this, or has this caused harm to myself or others, or both? And of course, if the answer is yes, stop. And if the deed is done, speak to a wise person for support and make a determination not to repeat it. Okay, so that's the Buddha's words on diligence. So we can open up for discussion. Yes, Kelly.
I mean, I'm sure all of us have planned all the time, and I've actually noticed this in the past 6 months, although I haven't quickly quit like you, right? But it's a lot easier now the more it comes in, because it's exhausting. Like, even just trying to like explain your position, and I always want to try and explain both. I don't want to try and give like an unjust and be like, okay, well, I did this too, but even just trying to explain like the situation, it's just draining. And then they ask a question and you're like, well, and then they didn't give you the right answer that you're looking for or something. Then now you're mad at them because they're not supporting you, and then the next thing you know, like it's almost laughable now looking back, and I'm like, there's no point in, because I was going to book a meeting with Aya or something that happened 2 days ago, and it's just like I probably still will, but like I don't have to go into detail about what this person did and how they touched my plant and they disrespected it and they still touch my plant, and then I relive it still, and like just, well, not still, it's been 3 days, but like I find myself getting so furious, like how do you disrespect me with my plant? And then and then I just let it go and it's gone, right? And so it's just like I'm feeding something in me that probably doesn't even correlate to the situation at all. I mean, it's probably just something that's in me that's coming up, but you want justice, but what is that doing? It's harming me. That's so huge, because me even thinking these things, like that vibration is going through me. I didn't correlate that until you just said that. Like, that's me. Like, I have visuals of hurting people sometimes with justice of what they've done to my daughter and I, and that's hurting me. Like that only just clicked, like, because I'm feeling that hate. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, there's a simile the Buddha talks about when we have ill will like that. It's like we're picking up excrement to throw it, but the fact is we're holding on to this excrement. You know, we're covered in. Yeah.
Thank you. This feels good for a little bit to be like, like justice in a way, but the justice comes through what you just said, diligence and merit, and like, I'm gonna cry, but like just being a good person, and trying, for me, letting go of that lack mentality that was ingrained with my father, and like my friend's birthday's coming up, and I'm like having a hard time trying to give her this plant and this thing, and I'm just sitting with it in my mind, and I'm like, okay, we gotta switch that, because it's just been ingrained in me. Like, I have enough plants, I got money for food, right? Like, what'd you call it? Not when you're cheap. What's the word you use? Stingy. Yeah, the stinginess. That's also something that just has to be almost mechanically done for me right now. It's stop feeling so victim and lack because of my programming, right?
Scarcity mentality.
Yeah, like I have. Like, this is a beautiful woman who. Well, anyways, that was really great for me. Thank you.
Buddha talks about the stain of miserliness. It's really big. He says at one point, if we really understood, I was telling Patricia this, if we really understood the beauty, the blessing, the power of generosity, we wouldn't let a single meal go by that we didn't try and share a bite of food with another being. And I do know monastics that they literally take a little bit of their food out of their bowl and put it for the ants and the creatures of the earth. And the Buddha says, in fact, going to right intention, we can bring generosity into almost everything we do. Even, he says, we can, even when we're throwing out dishwater from washing our dishes, to think, oh, may this water be of blessing and of nourishment to the earth, to the plants, to the ants. Like, we can always be thinking about ways that what we're doing there can be a generosity component to it. Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, even like giving people eye contact, or giving them a smile, or giving them your patience, all of it. Giving, yeah, it's wonderful. And then we end up, we're giving all the time to ourselves, giving ourselves forgiveness, giving ourselves patience, giving ourselves support, understanding, Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, because in hindsight, I am generous, just not with so much.
You're very generous.
Yeah,
You're generous with your energy.
Yeah,
you're so generous, Kelly.
It's a financial thing.
And that's just
that
a little.
Just kind of clicked, but
it's just a little glitch from your particular conditioning.
Yeah. And I love that you just said it as well, because we are being generous to us too. Like, again, didn't think about that. Like, why do we negate ourselves so much in our actions? It's not separate from us. Thank you.
Due to conditioning.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So on that note, with the generosity, did I hear correctly that you can be generous, but in doing so cause harm to yourself and others?
Yeah.
And that was a eye-opening, kind of refreshing frame. Just like, oh, wait. Yes, in the actions and my thoughts and my speech, what I think, we're conditioned to just give at the expense of ourselves, but giving, let's give it proper thought.
Yeah.
Before doing, during, and after.
Yeah. Because if you exhaust yourself, then you're going to end up sick, and then you're not able to help yourself or anyone, But if you take care of yourself, then when you've got your feet solidly on the ground, then you can you can help others.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try and do it when you're depleted, then
Exactly.
yeah, nobody benefits. You
And in
really
speech,
suffer.
In Korea, there's an expression that says, so and so's mouth is very heavy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Meaning, like,
Yeah.
they don't just sound la 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 la. Like, they really put thought into it. Like, they don't speak many words, but when they do, it may have come from a place of deep contemplation. So I think about that a lot. It's like, am I just making small talk to fill the void,
Mhm.
or should I really put some weight on my mouth?
Yeah, and that's one of the factors of right speech is not engaging in just useless talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we do, as women, have a lot of conditioning, a ton around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, be nice, share, you know, yeah, be polite, blah, blah, blah. And the Buddha is so clear, but this whole middle way, you know, it's like the airplane, you know, you put the oxygen mask on yourself before you try and put it on your children or the older person next to you. You know, how you always get that blurb. Yeah, the Buddha likewise.
Yeah, I've, as you're speaking with, sorry, I don't know your name.
Hyo.
Hugh. Yeah, like I realize that I do, and I've noticed for a while, just talk to make people feel comfortable, and then I say things that I don't mean, or they're not in line with me, and then like I ran into Mike's family, my daughter's family, and I just started like what the hell happened to me? Like it's like nervousness or something, and then I walked away and I'm like, that wasn't a representation of me at all. Like I don't know what just happened. And then I've been reflecting on that, and like it's okay to just be silent, whether they think you're rude or this. And Rhea, I'm proud of her because she asked for a hug goodbye, and Rhea said no. And I'm like, that's okay. Let's respect our boundaries, and just really teaching her that like instead of forcing our kids to hug their uncle or to like whatever, or just you know, or is it mean for me to say to the older lady in the grocery store, stop touching my child? Like, because the old lady's so sweet. But Rhea's like, oh my God, like you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know what do I just say to Rhea? That I don't know. And so that was a hard one for me, but trying to understand that we don't have to just talk. It's draining, and I don't represent myself because it's out of not a place of like grounding. Yeah.
With the woman in the grocery store, you might just say, we're not used to so much touching in our family. And then it makes it unpersonal, and you kind of take it. Instead of telling her that you're just talking about, you know, and maybe you can even just say, I think that's why Rhea is pulling away, because she's just not used to it.
Okay.
And it's maybe actually a little bit
Or neutral.
overwhelming for her.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And with the hugging, I know lots of parents like, because it'd be like, you know, can I have a hug? This stranger. And it's really appropriate that our children are like, and then what you can sometimes do is like, Rhea, do you want to give so-and-so a high five?
Yeah.
You know, so that it's not awkward. You know, there's some, and also you're teaching Rhea that there are social, you know, like, or a wave.
Yeah.
If she doesn't want to actually touch this person, let's wave goodbye, you know, instead of a hug goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's funny with our culture, all this hugging kids that bless their heart. Don't even know these people.
Took her out of the cart and was like, and he knows me, but he took her out of the cart and was running around, and I'm like, what, in the grocery store? And I'm like she was too young to express anything at this point, but I guarantee she was feeling it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be rude, and so that's
See,
perfect.
this is
Thank
our
you.
female conditioning.
Yeah.
And
that's perfect. She's not. Yeah, thank you. Because I'm like, how do I word this without? Because it's a sweet older lady. She's probably like almost 90.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and just so nice to see a young child. Right. Like, I could see the beauty of both of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Put it on me. I'm good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're very good at that. Yeah.
Any comments from our Zoomers?
Just listening today.
Okay.
I'm actually dreading tomorrow, and I wonder if you folks have a bit of advice for me. I have to meet with my brothers to do some family business that my dad set up. And they're all older than me, and they're very distinct personalities. One
Mm,
is evangelical, one is fundamentalist, and one is an alcoholic. And
mm,
I need to spend a couple of hours with them, and I know that if I don't speak what I need to say, I'll be harming myself. But if I say the truthful things, I will be hurting them. And the idea that, stick with good people, they are good people, but they're just coming from such different places than me, um, that I just don't know how to navigate my way through this couple of hours.
mhm.
Any advice?
So do you need to this you said to be truthful, you'll hurt them. So is this got to do with the business that you have to do, or is it?
Yes, yes, and it's all based around money.
Mm-hmm. Um, can you just say a little bit more? So, because it's kind of hard to say anything because
Well,
it's.
it's this tiny little company that my dad set up
Mm-hmm.
based on greed. How can we get our fair share of revenue from the oil and gas production on the farm? And
Mm-hmm.
so he did it to keep things fair between the four of us.
Mm-hmm.
But what it's turned into is it's a little company where I do all the work, and
Mm-hmm.
and they show up when it's time to hand over the check.
Ah.
And I'm sick and tired of it, and I
Mm-hmm.
know it's not fair, and I just don't know how to change the situation that I have let persist for so many years. They're all
Mm-hmm.
older than me, they've always been bossy of me, whatever, and I'm the little sister that doesn't know anything but just does all the work. And I
Right.
guess you can probably hear my resentment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to get through this 2 hours without just hurting myself.
Right. So, could you just say to them, look at this, this takes a fair amount of energy or effort or whatever to, whatever it is that you have to do, and just say, I think I should be paid for this, so that you get a wage for doing that, and then after that it's divided the four ways. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, Sarah, I would go in to the meeting with like what Sanghamitta is suggesting, like 2 or 3 proposals. Like either that you hire someone or that the workload gets divvied out or you get paid. Like, I mean, these are just the 3 that come to my mind. But you know what you could do? What can be helpful? Sometimes we're so nervous to change something that we've let,
Mhm.
go on and on. So again, something, that a way to start is to just be like, it's been like this. And then mark the fact that you want to, like that you're getting older, whatever. Like to take it again on yourself and be like, and I'm realizing this is unsustainable. Like I can't keep doing it. Like it just doesn't work. Period. And so now, as a family, the 4 of us, we need to figure out a new direction. And so you don't get into, I shouldn't have let it happen, da 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 da. Just demarcate that it's not working. It's not working for me, and and I can't keep doing it. Period.
Right, right. Yeah.
If you could, and you could practice with Gary, but if you can imagine saying that, and obviously just make it your own words. But actually, Sarah, as someone that has had difficulty, I'm also the youngest, and I also did all the work, and finally, when I finally spoke up, I was almost throwing up. I was so nervous because I was like 50 and I had never done it to anyone in my family. And but when I finally did, it didn't actually matter the words I used. It was that I was really, really, really clear in myself. And it was a phrase that a monk said once. He said, "Not good for you, not good for me." And that, because I couldn't actually speak up for myself, even though I knew it wasn't good for me. But when I realized, oh, it's not good that I let other people take advantage of me. It's not good for them. It's not good for your brothers. It's not.
No,
It's not good what they're doing. And so when I got clear, oh, this isn't good for anybody, I got a lot of motivation. Again, this not harming others, not harming yourself. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
That's good, because you've just made me realize that I sort of took this all on from my mother, who did the same thing,
Yeah,
and in the
exactly.
end, it made her very, very ill.
Yeah,
So, Sanghamitta, like your cousin who ended up in
yeah,
hospital, and then I adopted all of those
yeah,
ideas and
yeah,
others because she was so good,
yeah.
but
And
not good
this is,
in
it
herself.
isn't good, actually. It's not good for us to let people be inconsiderate, be selfish, take advantage of us. This isn't good. It's not good for them. We're not helping them. And so the truth is not actually going to hurt your brothers. It actually is going to help your brothers. It really won't hurt them. I mean, it will hurt in the moment. It'll be awkward. You're making, you've got the water running this direction and you're going to have to turn the water. That's going to be hard in the moment.
Yeah.
But in the long run, give your brothers credit that, they're used to it being like this, but hopefully deep down they actually care about you and your well-being. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I will practice and I will.
Yeah.
You got this, Sarah. You got
You
this.
got it. And what time, Sarah, what time is your meeting?
12 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, we'll be chanting for you.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, thank you
And
so
we'll
much.
be holding you in our hearts and have some really clear idea, some other, like we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. Or maybe one of you has a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good because,
Yeah.
put it on them too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great you asked. Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Sarah. That's so helpful. I've been in so many awkward positions. It's just really helpful, similar to that.
Thank you.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Patricia's got quite a similar, quite similar situation. 4 sibs. Yeah, I have 4 sibs. Yeah, well, I'm the youngest. Yeah.
Okay, anything else before our ending? Okay, we're going to end with the guided meditation on letting go.
Perfect.
Breathing in, I see I have the need to control my life. Breathing out, I let go of the need to control my life. Breathing in, I see that control is an illusion. Breathing out, I relax in my inability to control. Breathing in, I see how critical I am of myself. Breathing out, I let go of the need to be critical. Breathing in, I see all the goodness in me. Breathing out, I relax in the knowledge of the goodness in me. Breathing in, I see the many ambitions I have for myself. Breathing out, I let go of the many ambitions I have for myself. Breathing in, I see that I am sufficient in all ways. Breathing out, I relax in knowing that I am sufficient in all ways. Breathing in, I see that I crave many things. Breathing out, I let go of the need to crave many things. Breathing in, I see that I have enough. Breathing out, I relax in the knowledge that I have enough. Breathing in, I see that I am too busy. Breathing out, I let go of the need to be too busy. Breathing in, I want a less hectic life. Breathing out, I relax in the quiet of this moment. Breathing in, I see that letting go can make me free. Breathing out, I am free. Breathing in, I see that by being free, I can be happy. Breathing out, I am happy. May the merit of our practice be shared by all sentient beings, named and unnamed. Lisa's family, Ryan, Claire, Tracy, Odita. May all beings be well and happy. Thank you, everyone.